Hello everybody and welcome back to the DSLR workshop. I'm your host Steven Zeller with the show that's all about photography and not about gear. All right, today in our episode we're out on location here in beautiful sunny San Diego, California, and as you can see I'm wearing my sunglasses. It's very sunny out today, and the reason that we came out to this location is we're going to talk a little bit about light and how it relates a little bit to landscape photography and portrait photography. All right, so as you can see, the light on my face is very harsh, causes harsh shadows, basically looking directly at the sun right up there, and so it makes it very, very uncomfortable. If I was a subject, I'd be squinting without my sunglasses standing out here, and it's just not very flattering light. It's in the middle of the afternoon on a hot day in San Diego, and you can get that not only here but any place in the country. All right, so one of the things that landscape photographers talk about, and it's kind of their secret, it's called the golden hour of photography. And that can either be in the morning or it can be in the evening. And what that time is that it's that time 30 minutes before sunset to 30 minutes after sunset, and 30 minutes before sunrise till 30 minutes after sunrise. Okay? And the reason that they do that is because at that time the light is very soft, it's very flattering, it's very even, and the quality is really, 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 really good compared to what you'd get out here on a hot afternoon like we're out today in the middle of the sun. No clouds, no nothing. Now, granted, if it's a cloudy day and it's overcast all day, shoot all day long outside, because the world is your softbox. The clouds are going to soften and diffuse the light, and it's going to make it very flat, very even, very flattering to the face, to the flowers, to whatever you're trying to shoot. So you can think about that as an option as well. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put up a couple of examples and show you exactly how the difference in light makes, or I'm sorry, I should say the difference that kind of light makes in your photographs. Okay, now bear in mind I'm not a car photographer, so I took a couple of shots of my car so you could kind of see. But the first one I'm going to throw up, you can see here, it was in the middle of the afternoon, sun's beating down on the vehicle, lots of specular reflections off of the mirrors, off of the glass. You can see light coming through and highlighting little spots on the dash, and it's just very ugly light. You know, nice hard shadows underneath the vehicle. Not very pleasing at all, right? All right, so that's the middle of the afternoon. It's an okay shot, but it's a snapshot, and we're not looking for that. We're looking for really good photographs. So this next shot I'm going to put up is a shot that I took about 20 minutes after sunset or so the other evening, and you can see this, how the quality of light is very even. You don't see the insides of the car being lit up through the windows. Everything's just very pleasing, and that's why car photographers like to shoot just before sunrise and just after sunset when they're shooting cars, because they can get that nice even flat light that makes it very nice, very flattering, and makes their vehicles look a lot better than they do in the hot afternoon sun. Okay, now the same thing goes for landscape photography, and but talking about some of the differences on the car, I'll show you a couple more examples here. Okay, let's pull up this shot that I took of the interior of the car. And in the hot afternoon sun, you can really only expose for two things. You can expose for your area outside of the car, where you can see in this shot that everything looking outside the windshield looks really good, but the dash is dark. Just the areas where the sun's hitting them are actually lit up. But everything else is dark and you can't see any detail there. Okay. When I put up this next shot, you can see that what you can see through the windshield's blown out. You can't see it at all. It doesn't look good, but you can see all the details in the dash, right? Okay. Now the third shot I'm going to put up is one that I took right after sunset, so you can see how even the light is. I've got a good mixture of lighting outside and lighting inside the vehicle, so I can get a much better shot compared to shooting in the hot afternoon sun. Okay. Now it relates the same whether you're shooting people, whether you're shooting objects, whether you're shooting flowers, whether you're shooting landscapes. It doesn't matter. The light early in the morning, late at night is going to be better, bar none. All right, so well, how can you figure that out? How do I know when it's going to be? Well, there's a couple of free great little apps. I use an app on my iPhone called PhotoCalc. It gives me a great representation of when my sunrise is, when my sunset is, lets me know when twilight's going to begin and when twilight ends. So I know at each time, and it also works based off your current location, or you can pick a location. So I know exactly when my sunrise and sunset's going to be, and I can use that to plan around. I think the app was like $3 or $4, and was a great investment for me because now I always know when sunrise and sunset's going to be. There's some other weather applications that'll give you that as well, but it's kind of hit and miss. PhotoCalc also does a few other things like give you f-stops as far as exposure and gets a little more detailed, but just having it for sunrise and sunset was worth the price tag for me. All right, another app that I use is called Light Track, and I use that on the iPad. And this is a really great tool for photographers because it lets you know exactly what direction the light's going to be coming. So you pull up a Google Map overlay in this app and you can see exactly where the sun's going to be at any particular given time during the day. So you can see the direction of where the sun is. Makes it really useful for trying to figure out a location that you haven't been to before, or if it's somewhere that you can't really go and scout until you get there. Say you're flying there, you're driving a long distance. Really beneficial for that. Okay, so those are a couple of different ways that you can tell exactly what time is the sunrise and sunset is. All right. Now for landscape photographers, I've heard that landscape photo editors, like people that are editing magazine photos and things like that, they won't even look at your photo if it wasn't taken during that golden hour, sunrise and sunset. It can be an absolutely gorgeous photograph, but if it wasn't taken during those times, a lot of photo editors don't even want to hear it. At least that's what I'm told anyway. So something to consider. But you can go out, try it around, try it out, play around with it, try different times, and see what you come up with, okay? All right, another quick tip for landscape photographers is whenever you're taking landscape shots, you want to use a really wide lens. In this case, on my camera right now, I've got the Nikon 12-24 f4 lens. It's a great little lens, gives me that ultra wide angle of view. If you get an all-in-one lens like an 18-200 or even a kit lens like the 18-55, 18 millimeters is pretty good for most landscape shots. 12 just gives you a little bit more and gives you an opportunity to kind of see a little bit more in the frame than you would with just an 18-55. But nonetheless, it'll do the job. You just have to take a few steps back to get that same field of view as you would with a 12-24. Okay. Also, during that golden hour, you're probably going to want to have a tripod. Your light levels are still going to be low enough that if you're shooting at an aperture of like f11, f16, f22 to be able to get the entire scene in focus, your shutter speed is going to be very slow. So make sure you have a tripod or at the very least a monopod, or you can set it on top of your car, whatever works for you, but you want to have something to be able to stabilize your camera. You can also use a fence post, whatever is available to help stabilize it. Use it and you'll get better shots that way, bar none. All right. Give you an example of this 12-24. You can see the scene behind me here. Not really pleasing to look at, but I'm in a park setting here, so I'll take a shot at 12 millimeters and 24 millimeters. That way you can see the difference. Okay. Now I'm going to set up here at f16. I'm going to use the sunny 16 rule, which says that on a nice sunny day, the exposure is going to be f16 at 1/2 of my ISO. My ISO is 100, or correction, my ISO is 200, so that means my shutter speed is going to be 1/100th of a second. So I'm going to set up at f16, 1/100th of a second. I'm at auto white balance. Turn around here, and I'm going to take a shot at 12 millimeters and another at 24, and that way you can see the difference, and I'll put those shots up on screen so you can see the difference between the two. All right. Well, one of the new things that I've added to the DSLR workshop now is I'm talking about adding, well, I'm not talking about, I'm actually doing it. I'm going to feature a photographer every week, and it's not necessarily going to be a top pro or somebody that has a lot of exposure to their work. Might be somebody who's a photographer in any town, USA, and just want to give them a little bit of exposure and have you check out their work. That's one of the ways that you can learn the most, is by looking at other people's work, viewing it, studying it, not copying it, but looking at some of the things that they do and applying their techniques to your own style to come up with something that's completely your own and gives it your own flavor, your own identity, so to speak. All right, and this week I'll talk about a friend of mine, Kathy Hickey. She's a photographer in the Chicagoland area, and good friend, great photographer, got a lot of great landscape work, a lot of great work in general. So we'll check out her website and browse around, send her an email and say hi if you want to. But check it out, it'll be worth your time by all means. All right, and Kathy's website is iforphotography.net. I'll put that up on the screen down there, but that's www.i, as in the 4, photography.net. All right, and that's Kathy Hickey. Be sure to check it out. All right, that's all we got for this week's show. Appreciate you tuning in and checking us out. Hope you're subscribing to us on iTunes. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter at twitter.com/the DSLR Workshop. Also on Facebook, become a fan on our fan page at facebook.com/the DSLR Workshop. And as always, you can subscribe in iTunes and you can view the episodes on the website at theDSLRworkshop.com. All right, well, that wraps it up for week 11. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Have a good one. Happy shooting.